Hey YouTube, what's happening? Chris here. Want to bring you all an update on Litecoin. We are at that magical $60 right now. We're up 3.66%. What we're going to be doing today, we're going to be going over my bearish targets, my bullish targets, some of the things that happened, some exciting things with Litecoin, and that's what we're going to do, guys. Basically, I have about 4 or 5 bullish items for us, and I got about 3 bearish items for us, just to show you and kind of put in perspective. Remember, we always want to plan for the upside, the downside, and the sideways. And remember, in trading, you always want to cut your losers short and you want to let your winners run. Set that stop loss to break even if you're already in profit, and let it run if you think it's going to be something that's special. Try not to take your profits too early. And then also, guys, when a trade goes against you, you just have to cut it and you move on to the next one, and that's trading. You got to put the odds in your favor. The book I've been going through, the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns by Thomas Bulkowski, it goes through all that, guys, and it really even breaks down each and every pattern in bull markets, bear markets, and it talks about the percentages and even how often patterns fail. So that's why if someone tells you they're an expert in this space, you probably want to run, just due to the fact that anything can happen because our order books are so thin. When you don't have a ton of volume, and what's crypto sitting at, guys, 130, 140 billion, somewhere in that range, you know, it's so thin of a market that these whales really can move it whenever they want to, these market makers. So that's why you always got to be prepared. You always need to use those stop losses. You need to have a plan. All right, so that's what we're going to go over today. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm here just to show you the upside, the downside, and the sideways. Hope you guys really enjoy this. And if you do like this channel, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll dig into this. So, guys, my bullish notes, we're going to start up with the bullish notes. We're up above the 20 EMA, and we've been treating it as support, and this is on the one-day chart. You see this green moving average? This one, we said that is very powerful for cryptocurrency. Been talking about this for a while, and you can see how throughout this whole move, even when we gap away from it, we pull back onto it, and we've just been completely climbing right up it. And that's beautiful because for the longest time, it had been acting as overhead resistance, and now we've been treating it as support. So that's a bullish thing. Number 2, we have our 50 moving average crossing over our 200 moving average, which is that golden cross. So this is your 50 moving average in blue, and it's crossing over that longer term moving average, which is our 200-day moving average, and that's that golden cross. So that's another bullish thing that we're excited about as well for the long-term health of Litecoin. We've talked about how Litecoin now is in that intermediate term bullish uptrend. We've made it 3 months now, a little over 3 months. So we're in that intermediate term. We went from that short term to that intermediate term. The next thing that I was really looking at, we're up above both trend lines that I have. I have this steeper trend line that we've been obeying in white, and then our long term or our intermediate term trend line down here in yellow that we must keep to be able to keep this trend going. If you start seeing closes below that, then most likely, guys, we'd start heading down, but that's not even an issue right now. The first thing we're looking at is this 20 EMA for support, and then we're looking at this white line to see if we continue to bounce off that or if we're going to break down through that. And then number 4, we're up above all the moving averages that I have on my chart. The 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200. That's something special. Not a lot of coins can say that they have that right now. So, guys, those are the bullish things that I'm really seeing. And we had a little bit of increasing volume right here coming in, but overall we're still in a decreasing volume. If you can see this right here. And I always like to draw trend lines even on the volume, just like that. So we still have that decreasing volume even though the price is going up. So price going up, volume going down. Another thing, price is continuously going up, but we've had these lower highs. We're going to have to see what happens. Remember, when we break out of trend lines, a lot of the times you really end up running hard and you run fast. And I saw that, I believe it was on the LTC BTC on the 4-hour chart. I had a trend line drawn like this on the RSI, and you could just see how it blasted through. And it's beautiful how these trend line breaks really work, but we're having that price increase, and we're still, guys, we have not fully broken out of that yet. And sometimes you'll come up and then you'll fall back through, or sometimes you'll go up and then you'll back test this before you move higher. So we're going to have to see what happens with this today. And also we have that resistance right here, if you can see that we'll have to get over. We'll see if we top there or if we just break right through it. So that's another thing. On the bearish side, we have that RSI divergence, we have our decreasing volume, and then we have this good overhead resistance. And this is what I wanted to really point out to you. So now we're at $60.27, right? Let me change this out here. All right. So we're trying to push, guys. We had tweezer tops here, and typically if you go back and you back test this like I like to do, tweezer tops have been very effective. At Litecoin at 185 on the way back down, we had tweezer tops. It was in May, And since those tweezer tops, we just continued to get pushed down to that $22. That's how effective people, once they saw those tweezer tops at 185, and we also lost, I think it was the 200-day moving average, people said, I am out of here. And they left, and those tweezer tops were significant. So when you're seeing tweezer tops here and the RSI was also going down, that's a spot where typically you would see a rollover from what we've been having. But Litecoin decided to push back up even a little higher, so it almost kind of turned into one of those bull flags a little bit. But the only problem I have with it is we're not getting that full extension basically of what this pull would be. So here's your pull, here's your flag, and when you break out, typically it's as long as the pull, so we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of overhead resistance here in this red box. You can see right over here where we hit twice and then we fell all the way back down, and that was a really big one, guys. We really kept falling after that. Then here we climbed back up, and then we had a bearish engulfing candle that pushed us to the downside, and from there we had lower highs and lower lows that have been taking place. So those are the bearish things, so realistically, guys, we got about 3 or 4 bearish things, we got about 4 or 5 bullish things, but I'm still in the belief that there needs to be a cooling down period with just how that RSI is looking. And congratulations to everybody who is holding Litecoin just long term. These are really great moves, and I'm so happy to see that we're in this uptrend here. Regardless of its intermediate term, we need to get it to a long term now and just continuously make these higher highs and higher lows. That's what the game's all about, guys. And the game's all about knowing these chart patterns and setting yourself up, for the best risk reward that you can get. You want every bit of a 2 to 1, 3 to 1, and that's from where your stop loss is, how much you would lose to what you would potentially gain if it goes to your target and where you think it could go. Just like on Litecoin, if we were to get past this overhead resistance here, look how much room there is to run. So say we got through this box, say we even broke up through this box, and then we came back down and consolidated up above this right here before we made another move up. Once we get past around this $70, we can basically run all the way up to 80 easily, or potentially even that $90 range. So there's a lot of room to run if we can get over all this chunky resistance. And kind of think about this chunky resistance as it was like when Bitcoin dropped from that 6,000 down to 3,000. Now we're trying to climb back up, and that 6,000 is going to be very strong overhead resistance. It's kind of the same concept, but Litecoin has actually gotten through that, and now we're trying to get up to the very top of this into this red box. But the key things, guys, for Litecoin, we're up above that 200-day moving average. I really can't tell you how critical that is, that we're up above that 200-day moving average. That's what long-term investors are really paying attention to. That's what they look for, and they say, okay, maybe this is a time to go long for the long term, trying to hold for the next top on the bull market. So what these guys will do is they'll buy down, obviously, when you start to see this shift and you start to get these higher lows that we're putting in, then you start seeing the big dogs, they're accumulating down in here, and they're trying to hold it, for the next run. It could be over 3 years, over 4 years, whenever the next top of the bull market is. Like last year, or 2017's bull run, it lasted for several years. We had that consolidation where we were moving sideways, and we slowly started ticking up, slowly higher highs, higher lows, and then you have that blow off top, that explosion, all the way to where we made it to $19,000 before the smart investors said, hey, I'm pulling my money out now. And then people got caught with the bags, and then your bag holders essentially is what happens. So guys are trying to accumulate down here for that next top. And that next top on Bitcoin, guys, truly could be, I'm not your financial advisor, but we made it to $20,000 last market cycle. This next one could easily take us to $50,000, and then when we have the next bear market, it could be a pullback to the top of this last one around $19,000 or $20,000. And that's kind of how those things work. These cycles and these waves, they've just continuously gotten larger, they've gotten bigger, and they've grown. And you can even see that with Litecoin, to where you go back and Litecoin was like $2, went up to $42, all the way back down to $4, and it was like that for a year and a half before it eventually ended up going to $375. That's life-changing stuff. If people were buying Litecoin at $3 or $4 and you see it go up to $300 whatever dollars, and even if you take profits around $150 or $200, that's really life-changing, and that's what can happen in this space if you get in early enough to some of these coins. When they first launch, a lot of the times they're pennies. Bitcoin was once pennies, and it went from pennies to tens of thousands of dollars. And there's going to be more of those. Maybe not that drastic. I don't doubt that there could be another terms of Bitcoin like the percentage gains, but you know, even 100x or a 10x or a 20x, those are, guys, a 20 bagger is almost unknown when you 20 times your money in any other market, and it's happened in this market. You know, and you can also see 90% of your portfolio, if you're hodling, go down in this market. You know, you can lose 90% of your money, but that's why we need to learn how to trade. And if you can get in and out of these things, it really can be life-changing, because this market here, this is a trader's market. It has not been a hodler's market for 16 or 17 months as long as we've been in this bear market. You know, that's what all my books say, that you never want to hodl in a bear market. You want to hodl in that bull market. That's great, because you're going up and you're having those higher highs than higher lows, and it's stair-stepping up as opposed to dropping off, where you're having these lower highs and lower lows. But it's that switch, that transition, and who can ever pick that out the quickest and the soonest, those are going to be the ones who profit the most. So what we need to do is be patient today, really watch what happens with this candle. If this turns into some massive shooting star candle, right now it's like a bullish belt hold candle, which is a strong candle, but we're going to have to see where it closes for the day. The daily close is one of the most important things that you can look for and really pay attention to. A lot of guys like to get in on 30 minutes and the 1 hour, this, that can kind of drive you crazy, because there can be so much movement and things can happen so fast. It's better to stay out on like the 4 hour, the 12 hour, you know, the 8 hour. But I really like the 1 day. It gives you a lot more information. The 1 day, the 1 week, that type of stuff. But guys, bullish things, just to recap. Up above the 20-day EMA, we're using it as support. Our 50 moving average is crossing over the 200-day moving average. We have that golden cross. 3, we're up above both trend lines. 4, we're up above all the moving averages that I have. Bearish, we're having RSI divergence. Price was going up, but RSI still is going down at the moment. We're going to have to see what it does with that trend line we talked about. Still decreasing volume overall, and we have some strong overhead resistance. So those are the things that I'm looking at. If you guys like what we do here, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll just keep bringing them to you the best we can. And remember, never over leverage yourself. You know, don't be one of those crazy guys who bet your whole account on one trade. That's what I can tell you. Just be patient, be calm, and really wait and watch this market. God bless each and every one of you.